Sometimes it's all about the moving parts. Timothy Jensen, Jensen Transport in Independence, Iowa. Hey, I want to speak to you a little bit this morning about moving parts. So when you talk about moving parts, think about a machine, or think about your harvest, or even how to make a cup of coffee. There's a lot of moving parts involved. Anything from the machine to the whatever consumable you're going to put in there, your coffee beans. So if you talk about it in coffee, what are all your moving parts in making coffee? Well, you've obviously got a coffee machine that takes some type of coffee. You got raw coffee beans. You've got, what do they call them? Baked or cooked coffee beans, brown, however they do it. I don't know. Ground coffee beans, even espresso coffee beans. So, fineness of your grind, putting all that stuff in your machine. Some people are particular about their water, whether my grandmother always used distilled water for some reason. Apparently we had poor water back then. Or, it could just be tap water. There's also different types of machines too. You got your I can't remember what it's called, like cold press, where it's a glass container. You mix it's like cowboy coffee, where the water and the grinds all go together. It's all boiled together. You put it in the glass container, and then you have a press. You push the press down, and it pushes all the coffee down to the bottom, and it just holds all that solidified grounds at the bottom, so you can pour it off, and it just kind of sits there and steeps for a couple minutes, kind of like tea. But the thing about all the moving parts is you have to understand which moving parts you need, for something to function. Because if you don't have the coffee, it doesn't work. If you don't have the water, it doesn't work. If you don't have the little press part, it doesn't work. If you don't have the little glass container, you could substitute for something else. As long as the press fits tightly enough so that the grounds don't go past it, you could do that. But what makes the best cup of coffee doing something like that? It's understanding, which parts that you can skip and miss, which ones you can't, and also which ones you can change. Because some of those little moving parts, they have big implications for how that's going to turn out in the end. I mean, you may have the best water, you may have the best, coffee maker, you may have the best, all that stuff. But if you don't have very good coffee, or they're not ground quite right, or maybe it's not even a flavored coffee, maybe it's a regular coffee and you want flavored coffee, big difference there. So if you're going with cheap coffee that's not ground very well, that's old stale beans that have been roasted for quite some time, or over roasted so they're burnt, you don't get what you want. And I think that's part of the problem in the process, because you need to learn all the little moving parts. It's not just enough to understand, their names, where it goes and what it does. Sometimes you just need to know enough about how that thing functions in order to get a different result or outcome than somebody else would. And sometimes those small moving parts are the thing where, hey, I did that the exact same way you did. It's like your grandma's recipe. I did it exactly the way grandma does, but it didn't turn out the same. And I don't know how she did it. I don't know how she made, whatever the product was, whether it was cookies or creamed corn. I know that's a big thing in my grandmother would make creamed corn. Nobody can make her creamed corn. Nobody knows how to do it. And from what I understand, it was like 3 ingredients. It wasn't that difficult, but it's not the same outcome. So I think what we all need to do is, if we have something we want to affect change on or do something, it isn't about redoing the entire process or doing any of that stuff. It's just understanding how all those small moving parts work together, which ones you can manipulate for a better outcome, or even not touch for a better outcome. Because everybody wants to screw with stuff. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just leave things sit. Kind of like that coffee in the coffee press. What's the best outcome for that? You leave it sit for a couple minutes. All the grounds and stuff start to settle out, and you slowly press it. It's the time. Sometimes it's not about the thing, it's the time. So, hey, Timothy Jensen, Jensen Transport in Independence, Iowa. Learn about your moving parts, know your moving parts, realize which moving parts don't need to move at all. Maybe just know which ones you don't need to touch to get the best outcome, and know the ones that really break what you're doing, and know the little ones where you can just move one little thing and make amazing things happen. Have a great day.